Have you ever felt guilty just for taking a break? Not lazy. Not procrastinating. Just resting. And yet, that creeping voice in your head whispers, "You're falling behind. You're wasting time. You should be doing something." You might think that's just ambition. But what if it's something deeper? Today's uncomfortable question: is hustle culture just a socially acceptable trauma response? Let's take it apart, piece by piece. We live in a society that worships productivity. Everywhere you look, motivational quotes, TikTok hustle bros, LinkedIn grind posts. The message is clear: work harder. Sleep less. Push through. Never stop. Rise and grind. No days off. Sleep is for the weak. We don't just glorify effort. We glorify exhaustion. But let's pause and ask, why do we need to be so busy all the time? And why do we feel so worthless when we're not? That's not just about having a strong work ethic. That's psychological. Maybe even traumatic. 1. Trauma isn't always obvious. When we hear the word trauma, we think of violence, disasters, abuse. But trauma is more than events. It's what happens inside you when your capacity to cope is overwhelmed. Psychologists define trauma responses as fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. But there's one more response that rarely gets talked about: overachieving. The high-functioning perfectionist. The straight-A student. The workaholic. The unstoppable professional. They don't break down. They power through. They turn productivity into protection. Achievement becomes armor. Gabor Mate, one of the leading voices in trauma psychology, once said, "Not every successful person is traumatized. But many traumatized people become successful, not out of joy, but out of fear. Fear of being unworthy. Fear of not being loved unless you're useful. Fear of stopping, because then the pain might catch up with you." Sound familiar? 2. When hustle becomes a mask, let's imagine something. You grow up in a home where love feels conditional. You're praised when you do well. Ignored when you don't. Your needs are too much. Your achievements? Just right. So you learn, my value comes from what I do, not who I am. That lesson follows you into adulthood. You overwork. You overplease. You say yes to everything. You live by checklists and goals and metrics. And society calls you driven, disciplined, successful, but inside, you're exhausted, anxious, emotionally flatlined. Hustle becomes a socially acceptable way to run from pain. And no one questions it, because it looks productive. But it's not purpose. It's survival. 3. Culture, capitalism, and the moral myth of work. Let's zoom out. Where did this obsession with hustle even come from? In American culture, it has deep roots in what's called the Protestant work ethic, a belief that hard work isn't just good, it's moral. A virtue. Proof of your worth in the eyes of God, or the market. Add capitalism to that, and your productivity becomes your identity. Your self-worth is measured in output. Slowing down feels sinful. Rest feels like failure. Even self-care becomes something to do right. Did you meditate today? Did you optimize your sleep cycle? Did you finish your gratitude journal? It's no longer about being well. It's about performing wellness. Welcome to burnout, dressed in spiritual clothing. 4. Who benefits from your burnout? Let's be brutally honest. Who profits when you can't rest? Tech companies, who build platforms you can't stop checking. Hustle influencers, who sell you a dream while working you to death. Self-help industries, who sell courses to fix the burnout they helped cause. Employers, who quietly expect 24/7 availability. The system doesn't care if you're fulfilled. It only cares if you're functional. And the more exhausted you are, the easier it is to sell you solutions. Planners. Supplements. Time-blocking apps. All promising to help you do more. But no one ever asks, Do you even need to be doing all this? Who told you your worth is tied to output? 5. The trauma loop. So here's how it goes. You feel unsafe, invisible, or unworthy. You work hard to be noticed, praised, valuable. It feels good, for a while. But it never lasts. So you push harder. You crash. You feel like a failure. And to fix that feeling, you hustle again. It looks like success. But it's a loop. And what you're chasing isn't growth. It's escape. 6. Signs you're hustling from trauma. Let's get real. Here are some signs your hustle might not be healthy. You feel intense guilt when relaxing. You avoid stillness. It makes you feel unsafe. Your to-do list feels like your identity. Compliments make you uncomfortable unless they're about performance. You don't remember the last time you truly rested without shame. You secretly hope someone finally notices how hard you're trying. If any of this feels familiar, you're not broken. You're just burned out. And you've been taught that exhaustion equals excellence. 7. You're not lazy. You're wounded. This needs to be said out loud. You are not lazy. You are exhausted. You are overwhelmed. You are scared to stop, because stopping might mean feeling everything you've been running from. We live in a system that makes you feel guilty for being human. That's not your fault. But it is your responsibility to unlearn it. 8. What healing looks like. So what does healing actually look like? It doesn't mean quitting everything and disappearing to the mountains. It doesn't mean rejecting ambition. It means shifting your source of motivation. From fear, right-pointing arrow to meaning. From survival, right-pointing arrow to self-trust. It means learning when to rest, and letting that rest be real. It means believing, truly believing, that you have value even when you're still. Even when you don't produce. Even when you just exist. 9. Redefining productivity. Let's challenge the definition itself. What if productivity isn't just doing more? What if it's doing the right things, for the right reasons, in the right state of mind? What if growth doesn't have to feel like self-destruction? What if being enough doesn't require burning out? We've confused movement with meaning, speed with value, output with identity. It's time to remember, you are not a machine. You are not a task list. You are not a brand. You are a living, breathing human being, and you are allowed to rest. 10. So, is hustle culture a trauma response? In many cases, yes. It's pain wearing a business suit. It's fear with a calendar app. It's emptiness disguised as motivation. But naming the pattern is power. Because once you see the loop, you can break it. You can rest without guilt. You can succeed without losing yourself. You can be productive without being enslaved by it. And you can finally be free. Final thoughts. So the next time someone says, you should be doing more, ask yourself, says who? And for what? Because you're not here just to perform. You're here to live. And the world doesn't need another burned out overachiever. It needs you, whole, honest, and awake. If this resonated with you, you're not alone. You're not lazy. You're not broken. You're just starting to see through a system designed to keep you grinding. If you're ready to challenge more of these uncomfortable truths, subscribe to PeakMind. Because healing doesn't start with hustling harder. It starts when you finally pick your mind.